These are the plaintiffs, Lisa and Mike Harris. Lisa says she was walking their dog Bo on his leash like she always does. And the defendant's dog got out of her house, grabbed Bo, and started shaking him violently in his mouth. She screamed bloody murder for help. Luckily, Bo broke free and now has damages which can never be repaired. They're suing this unlawful woman for the $5,000 they're 100% entitled to because they did nothing wrong. This is the defendant, Jolynn Harr. She says her dog Gucci did not get out of the house that day and was locked up behind closed doors. Her dog is not aggressive in the least. A judge ruled against the plaintiffs in criminal court because they didn't prove her dog attacked their dog, and this whole lawsuit is nothing more than an attempt to grab at money. She's accused of having a vicious dog.
All parties, please raise your right hands. The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, you are suing Ms. Harr because, according to you, her dog attacked your dog. Mrs. Harris, tell me what happened.
We have a condo in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we live in Texas. And so we were there for the weekend. Got there about 1:30. As always, I take the dog out from the trip, and Mike brings the luggage in. And I have a map just so you can kind of see where I went. Can you see it, sort of?
I can see it. Yep.
Okay, I'm here. And so I walked my dog around this way, and this is where Jolynn's house is. And I noticed that her door was cracked open. And so as we continued to walk, and we went down around the loop, and then when we came back around the loop to head back home, on this side right here is where I saw out of the corner of my eye, I saw her dog coming down the stairs of her condo.
And what happens?
Okay, when the dog came across the road, he attacked my dog from the back, and they were having the tussle in between my legs. And the door was open, so I was screaming into the house, hoping someone would hear me and come help me. And then as the dog had my dog down on the ground, somehow my dog shimmied out of his collar and then ran to our condo. And as
I have a question. How many feet from her door did this happen?
10, 20 feet.
Okay, and do you know where her dog went after it happened?
No clue, because I ran after my dog. My dog ran home.
Okay.
I ran after him with the leash in my hand, and he ran up where Mike was, and he had tissue and blood hanging out. So we just immediately scooped him up and took him to the vet and told the vet we were on our way.
Okay. Now, Ms. Harr, when did you first realize something bad had happened?
Well, I received a phone call from my sister, who also lives on the property, that either the Harrises or our president of our POA, I'm not sure which one, had contacted her and were wanting to talk to me. I was in Minnesota with my kids who race horses, and we were at the Canterbury Park at the time that this all happened.
What's your sister's name? Gigi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what does Gigi tell you exactly?
She says that they said that the dog had done it, but there's no way she could have known for sure.
What time does your sister call you?
I couldn't tell you exactly what time.
Mr. and Mrs. Harris, when did you alert the condo association to the problem?
This occurred at about 1:30. We were at the vet by 2:30 or 3 o'clock. We had talked to several members of the board of directors, made them aware of what was going on.
Okay. So you then call the condo association, you speak to somebody from there, and what do they say to you?
I talked to Mr. Don Broach, who is our president, and requested the phone number to the Harrises that I needed to get in touch with them. My sister said they were very upset and that I needed to call call them immediately. And per Mr. Broach, he said he had spoke to the Harrises and that they were upset, but that they did not want to talk to me for a couple of days until they got things settled with their dog. And so I obliged that and did not call until I came back home from Minnesota, and which was within a couple of days, and then we were in contact with each other.
So several days had passed. What conversation did you have with them at that point when they were finally ready to talk to you? What was the conversation?
Well, I just believe that I expressed my sympathy, my worry, that if it was my dog, that yes, I would help them with any vet bills.
Okay. All right, let me hear from you, Mr. and Mrs. Harris. Hold on one moment, Ms. Har. Mr. Harris, who's the one who does the talking with Ms. Har? Is it you or Mrs. Harris?
I had her on speakerphone, but what the conversation was essentially that, and it was on Tuesday following that Friday. What we did was we told her what happened. We told her what the vets had said. That it would be 7 to 10 days before we really knew what was going on with Bo, and that we wouldn't know the full extent until we got closer to that 7 to 10 day period. We told her right up front that the bills had already been over $800, and we expect them to get much higher than that. She expressed that she was willing to help with the vet bills, but we needed to give her some time because she didn't have a lot of money. We said we understand that, and we said we'll let you know when there's more to let you know.
Did she ever say to you, that wasn't my dog?
Oh, no. No, what she did tell us, though, is that her dog didn't have shots, that he was not registered, and that he was supposed to be watched by somebody that nobody ever knew, and that he wasn't even home because he was at work.
Okay, tell me about that. You weren't in town. Who was watching your dog?
A gentleman that works for my children out at the farm. He was staying in my home and tending to my dog while I was gone.
So let me ask you a question. You have a taped video of your witness, the person who you left in charge of the dog, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's hear the testimony.
Hello, my name is BJ Garrett, and at the time of the alleged incident, I was house sitting for Miss Jo Har. She was out of state, and I received a call from her mid-morning and said that Gucci was apparently running loose. So I left work and came straight here and returned to the house. I opened the door and the dog was in the same place that he was when I left. I kind of walked around, all the doors were locked, and went back to work. And then later, upon finishing work, I hear about the incident that apparently had happened. So, but yes, he was there when I left and there when I got back. So that's kind of why we're all scratching our heads. But okay, thank you.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Ms. Hart. He says he gets a call from you that Gucci was running loose, and that he, after work, when he came back later on, he finds out that Gucci's accused of biting a dog. So who gave you a call to say your dog was running loose?
My sister did. My sister's the one that called and said,
How did your sister know your dog was running loose?
the Harrises had contacted my sister.
Nah. I'm going to tell you what the problem with that is. The problem is that what your witness says is that Gucci, you call him to tell him that Gucci's running loose. If your sister had already told you that Gucci had attacked the Harris's dog, your message would have been, Gucci attacked a dog. He doesn't find that out until way later. You just tell him that Gucci's running loose. So that's a little odd to me. Your defense in this case is that you don't think Gucci was the one who did the attack. What I would like to understand is, what do you think happened? You think it was a different dog, right?
Well, yes, ma'am, I do. At this point, we've got a dog that I've sent you pictures of that is considerably looks like my dog. The Harrises are not there on a daily basis, had never really been in contact with my dog very often. That dog has been all over our property on everybody's front porches. I showed a picture of him on a neighbor's chair trying to get up on top of it, and Mike and Lisa both could tell you that that is our property where that dog is. That picture right there you're showing very much looks like my dog, but it's not. And it has been on our property many times.
She thinks it's a case of mistaken identity, Mr. and Mrs. Harris. Tell me why that is not so.
Well, there's no way. I don't think the two dogs look that much alike, but I know Gucci. I mean, I've seen the dog. I know that that's her dog, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, did you guys have contact with Gigi, the sister?
We did. She came over at our condo at 10 o'clock that Friday evening and gave us her name and phone number, said that she had been in contact with Jolynn, that Jolynn was she was very upset about this whole scenario, that she had expressed she was willing to pay the vet bills and to just please not get their mother involved because her mom's going through cancer, and that's part of why they're both so away.
When you spoke to the sister, she was very contrite and said everybody was very upset. You offered to pay. If you talk to that witness who says doors were locked, no way it was Gucci, why would you be offering to pay?
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiffs are saying their dog Bo is lucky to be alive. The defendant's pit bull attacked Bo, and Bo was able to extricate himself. Now the defendant's saying, hey, my pit bull did absolutely nothing to your dog. Let's go back into the courtroom.
Your Honor, I didn't have a clue. I was 900 miles away. I mean, I think if anybody called you...
Yeah, I know, but hold on a second. Apparently, there's this novel invention called a telephone because he got a call from you asking you to go back, asking him to leave work and go check on the house. So you are speaking to him on the phone. He, I presume, tells you right away all doors were locked, everything was locked, because that's why we're all scratching our heads, Judge. That's what your witness said. So why then... Tuesday, are you offering to pay if truthfully the doors were locked and it wasn't Gucci? Explain why you're offering to pay for another dog's damage if it wasn't Gucci.
I told them that prior to BJ calling me back and saying that Gucci was in the house, Your Honor.
Oh, heck no, because that would have happened on Friday and you didn't talk to the Harrises until Tuesday. Right, Mr. and Mrs. Harris?
That's correct.
All right, let's talk about your lawsuit because you're not just suing for the vet bills and wound care. That's $2,573.94. You're also suing for all kinds of other stuff. Let's see. Travel expenses, 3 trips to a hearing. You're talking about the criminal hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
You ended up being acquitted at the criminal hearing, right?
Yes, ma'am. It was dismissed.
And you say it's because they couldn't prove it was Gucci, and you guys say it's because she wasn't physically in town at the time. Nobody has an actual order by the judge that says why she was acquitted, right? Nobody has that?
No, ma'am. This is a court of no record.
All right. What are you suing for here? Time lost from work, more than the vet bills. You're trying to get compensated for time lost from work. Why?
I had to take vacation days. We had to miss the last 6 weeks of our time going to our condo because of this. We had to be changing the bandages on our dog every hour and a half to 2 hours because they were oozing out and falling off. We were continually dealing with this dog 24/7 for.
What were the damages to Bo?
Days.
What was it that happened when Bo ran to you, Mr. Harris? What did you notice about Bo?
I noticed the tissue that was hanging out the two sides of it.
Like a flap.
Marks. Well, not only a flap, but a long string of tissue. And it was probably a 1.5 feet long that was hanging out. And as those days went into the first week and a half, those puncture wounds went from the size of a number 2 pencil eraser to the size of a silver dollar, and they dug into the muscle. The muscle deteriorated, and in addition to that, Bo also got a virus. He got a MRSA type virus that ate away even more tissue. So by the 9th day, when we were doing that water therapy treatment here at our house, we were just in tears because all of the stitches, all the sutures, anything that our vet had put together had pulled apart because all the skin and all the tissue had further destroyed itself. It had just died. And we actually called our vet on that Sunday evening and said, we think that we're going to have to, bring him in tomorrow morning, and you're going to have to put him down because we can't stand him being in this much pain and agony. So we get there the next day, she examines him, and after about 2 hours, she calls us back and says, I found some new tissue growing underneath. It's pink. I cut away a lot of the old. Let's continue with the therapy sessions. You bring him here every day, and we'll do them, and then we'll reevaluate on Friday. And by that next Friday, which would have been 2 weeks exactly after the incident, she felt like he was in good enough shape to where she could sew him all up and put just a regular type bandage on. And then the next day she said, take it off. He had 70 stitches, over 50 of them inside. That's a pretty serious wound. And
Can I ask you, how's the dog doing now? How's Bo doing now?
He's doing fine. He'll never be as good as he was, but he's got nerve damage. He continually will quiver at various times. He'll take 10 or 15 steps, and then he'll realize, oh, I feel something sharp back there, and he'll reach around to try to bite that spot.
All right. What's the summer break days for Mike? What is this additional thing you're adding on here? $1,080 summer break days. What does that mean?
That was Lisa's. Lisa's a school teacher, and because she normally is out for the summer for school, that's when this occurred. But she also lost 5 days of fun summer, as opposed to 5 days of being nursemaid.
You want fun summer money? You want fun summer money? Come on, guys. Okay, we're done. I am 100% convinced that it was Gucci, the real Gucci. I have your witness saying I got a call that Gucci was running loose. And then I went there and the doors were locked. I don't know if your sister Gigi had already gone and taken care of things and locked the door. I hear about a very contrite Gigi. I hear about a very contrite Ms. Har. I hear you, when you're talking to them on Tuesday, telling them, I'll pay if it was my dog. Why would you? That's what you said to them on Tuesday. Why would you say I'll pay if it was my dog if on Friday you already spoke to your witness who told you everything was locked, it couldn't have been our dog? It doesn't add up. Aside from that, according to Ms. Harris, so unless you're going to call Ms. Harris a liar, according to Ms. Harris, she sees your dog come out. She knows Gucci. So I am convinced that it was Gucci. All right, so I'm going to order you to pay the $2,573.94 to the plaintiffs. That is my judgment.
So the plaintiffs are going to recover just over $2,500, not the $5,000 they were seeking. Ms. Har, let me ask you a quick question. You just heard what the judge decided. She's convinced Gucci was guilty. What do you think about this?
Oh, I feel like I was railroaded by the judge. I think she took words and twisted what I said and times. And my sister was out of town at the time. There's no way she could have shut the door. I was out of state. I can't tell you what happened. I'm sorry if it was my dog. To this date, I still do not believe it was my dog. He was in a locked house when the animal control got there, which was just shortly afterwards. And my sister couldn't have gotten 60 miles in that length of time and put the dog up. So, no, I do not believe that I should have to pay them.
Well, the judge says you do. You did promise you would pay, and then you reneged on that. But after hearing the story of what they went through, you must feel sorry for them, don't you?
That's where y'all keep bringing that up, that I did not ever promise to pay anything. I never promised. I said that I would help with the vet bills if it was my dog and if that's what had happened. So, no, I did not.
Well, let me ask you, do you feel sorry for them for what they went through? You should. You have to.
I do feel sorry for them and the dog. I've seen the dog prancing around and happy as he ever was before. So, it's a bad situation, and I'll be glad when it's all over.
All right. Well, who knows? This may linger on for a while because you still live there and they have a condo there as well. Let's talk to Mr. and Ms. Harris. This must have been a terrible emotional strain on you, I would think. Being a dog lover, I can understand how bad that would be.
It was terrible, but we do have 3 kids, so we do have kids. They just don't live with us now.
Well, the bottom line, you still live there, you still have the condo. What's going to happen in the future with this neighbor? What do you think?
We just are hesitant to take our dog that direction. And in fact, our dog won't even go that direction, at least not to this point. We think there's some severe PTSD type scenario with him. And and for sure, anytime we walk that direction, we are going to be 150% wary of her door and what might or might not happen.
Well, very good. All right, congratulations. You are going to get some money to help with those vet bills. $2,500, just over it. Thanks very much. Now, let's get some insight now on how 2 judges feel about this case. Here's Judge Marilyn Milian and her court judge husband, Judge John, with another session of After the Verdict.
Dog bite cases can turn into complicated cases, believe it or not. Most people think they're pretty cut and dried, but not so. You presided over a few of them. In this case, you got some direct testimonial evidence from the plaintiff that this was, in fact, the neighbor's dog. She knew the dog well. It seemed like that was enough to sway you into being convinced that Ms. Hart was not correct, the defendant, when she said it was a different dog.
I also think that was kind of a convenient thing that she came up with once she got angry at them for calling animal control and getting a criminal charge against her. She had to pay for a lawyer in the criminal case. She was angry about how venomous Mr. and Mrs. Harris seemed to be about this. So I think that this whole Inspector Clouseau defense, it's not my dog, just came up kind of late in the game, and it came up because of that. Because once I heard her witness's testimony, when he said, I got a call that Gucci was running loose, that's not the same as Gucci bit a neighbor's dog.
No.
That means that someone alerted her that her dog was loose.
Right.
Already. And if that's all they said and not, he bit the neighbor's dog, Gucci was running loose. So this nonsense about Gucci was never loose doesn't make any sense to me at that point. Plus, if you've already talked to the guy you have a dog sitting, and he tells you everything was locked on Tuesday, you wouldn't be saying, oh, I'll help pay for you wouldn't be saying, I'll help pay for the vet bills, and you certainly wouldn't be saying, if it was my dog, I'll help, because by then you would have already talked to your witness, and your witness would have told you that dog was locked down, and you would have said, my dog was locked down. That's what you would have said. And the reason for her liability, I realize that she's not home, but it's her dog, and she leaves someone in charge who apparently must not have locked the doors.
And failing to get up-to-date shots for your dog doesn't exactly cry out responsible pet owner.
No, it doesn't.
Either.
It doesn't.
And certainly at the end of the day, these plaintiffs, they knew the dog well. They knew what Gucci looked like, and you can tell the difference between Gucci and a knockoff Gucci. The neighborhood dog that looks like Gucci.
The knockoff Gucci, right. No, I think that they know. And, and they testified that they saw the dog come out, that it happened all in front of her place. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it was Gucci.
No doubt in your mind.
No doubt in my mind.
There you have it.
Well, Gail, as they say in the military, you are SOL. What I mean by that is you don't have a case. This is 13 years you have waited, and the statute of limitations has definitely run. It varies from state to state. Usually, if it's an oral contract to do something, it's 2 years. If it's a written contract, 4, sometimes 6, 13 years, way too long. That'll do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.